So, you're planning a getaway to Germany, Austria, or maybe Switzerland? That's fantastic. Over the next few minutes, we're going to build up your vocabulary toolkit with some really essential German phrases. You know, the ones you'll actually need to travel with total confidence. All right, let's dive right in. I want you to just picture this for a second. You're standing in front of a massive train schedule in Berlin, or maybe you're trying to order a coffee in Vienna. You know, having just a few key words up your sleeve, that can be the difference between feeling totally lost and feeling like, hey, I've got this. So yeah, let's get that vocabulary packed. Okay, so first things first. Every great trip has to start with a destination, right? So where are we headed? Let's check out some classic vacation spots and, more importantly, the German words for them. All right, let's start with the classic summer getaway. You know the vibe. You're relaxing by a calm lake, maybe you're hitting a sandy beach, or just listening to the waves crash. So, how do we actually talk about these kinds of places in German? Okay, now take a close look at the first word in each of these phrases. This is where German gets kind of cool. It uses different little words, prepositions, to show movement. So for a lake or a beach, you go on it, which is kind of like saying you're going to the side of it. But for the huge open sea, you go ons, which is just a mashup of on das. It's a subtle little detail, but trust me, it'll make you sound way more natural. But hey, maybe the beach isn't your scene, and that's totally cool. What if you're dreaming of, I don't know, towering mountain peaks, or the vast quiet of a desert, or maybe escaping to a remote island? Let's check out the words for those. And look, we see that same kind of logic popping up again. You go in or into a space like the mountains or the desert, right? Makes sense. But for an island, it's a bit different. You travel off it or onto it. It's this kind of intuitive stuff that, honestly, once you see it, German grammar starts to really click. All right, destination, check. So now, for the next big question every traveler has to ask. How are we actually getting there? Let's dive into the words for transportation. So let's start with the basics. And the good news is, a lot of these are going to look super familiar. You've got das Auto for car and der Bus for bus. Easy enough. Then there's Flug for flight and Schiff for a ship. And when you're in the city, you'll definitely need the U-Bahn. That's their super efficient subway or metro system. Okay, now we've got to talk about travel by rail for a second. In Germany, it's incredibly common and super efficient. But, and this is a big but, it has a couple of vocabulary quirks that can really trip people up. So let's clear that confusion up right now. Okay, so here's the deal, and this is super important. Die Bahn, that's the entire railway system. Think of it like the company. You know, Deutsche Bahn, the big national railway. But der Zug, that's the actual physical train you get on. The engine, the carriages on the tracks. So think of it this way. You buy a ticket from the Bahn so you can ride on its Zug. Simple as that. And here's another great little tip that'll help you sound way more like a local. The official full word for a bicycle is das Fahrrad, but you'll almost always just hear people say das Rad. Yeah, it literally just means the wheel. But that's the common, everyday way everyone talks about their bike. So you can too. Okay, we've got our destinations, we've got our transport. Now it's time for the really fun part, putting it all together to build an actual travel plan. This is where everything we've learned just clicks into place. And you know what? It's ridiculously simple. It's basically a two-step formula. Step 1, pick your destination phrase. Step 2, add how you're getting there using the word mit, which just means by or with. That's it. Let's see how it works. And boom, just like that, you can build your own little itinerary. You could say you're going in die Berge mit dem Zug, to the mountains by train. Or maybe you're more of an an den Strand mit dem Auto kind of person, to the beach by car. Just look at these combinations. I bet you're already thinking of your own perfect trip, aren't you? And there you have it. Seriously, those are the basic building blocks for pretty much any German travel conversation. Let's do a super quick recap of the awesome new toolkit you've just put together. So, what's in this new travel toolkit of yours? Well, you've got the words for 6 key destinations, everything from the beach to the mountains. You've got 9 different ways to travel. You've totally cracked the code on the difference between Bahn and Zug, which is going to save you a lot of confusion at the train station. And, most importantly, you have the formula to stick it all together and actually talk about your adventure. That's huge. All right, so you've got the words now. They're all packed up and ready to go in your toolkit. So really, the only question left is a big one. Where will they take you? Have a great trip. Or, as they say in German, gute Reise.